All right, so a lot of common mistakes I see with back training. We're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna start on a lat pull down. First of all, grip, right? So we don't wanna have a super tight grip, like, you know, we're not working our forearms here, right? So if you need to use straps, that is perfectly okay. But when we sit into the machine, right, you don't want to hold on so tight, right? You want a little bit of a looser grip so you can kind of move your arms freely. When you grip too tight, you're gonna be very stiff everywhere. Things are gonna be very difficult to move, right? So first of all, work on the grip. I like using thumbs over or a thumbless grip. This allows me to kind of move my wrist a little bit into it. So instead of my wrist here, I'll have it here, right? Second thing is getting into the machine. I don't wanna be so far back where my knees are touching here. I wanna actually wedge the majority of my thigh under here, right? And then the first thing I want to do before I pull chin slightly up, right? By moving my chin up, I actually create space for my scaps to move. With my chin down, I get stuck right here, right? So I don't get a fully lengthened lat with my chin down, right? So I need to move my chin up. Boom. I created that much more space for my scaps and shoulders to move up, right? So chin stays slightly up, right? And then as you begin the descent, I want to slightly rock back, but by rocking back, I want to engage the core. So if I was to engage my core staying perfectly still, it would look like this, right? So as I engage my core, my scaps are going to protract and depress very slightly, and then I can start my movement, all right? But at no point do I tuck my chin down so far like this where I can't, you guys can't even hear me talk properly. I want to have my chin up right here, right? And keep it out of the way. Okay, so make sure you're moving the chin, you're setting the hands properly, and the sternum is able to move up and down, your chin's not in the way, right? Same concept applies on like a seated row. All right, so first thing we're gonna talk about is foot placement here, right? So just as we talked about leg placement under the pad there, foot placement as low as possible so you can actually grab onto the bench with your calves, right? This way you're able to lean slightly forward. Chin will stay slightly up and out of the way. I don't want this, right? So you see what's already happening with my shoulders here? My shoulders are rounded forward like that, right? What that's gonna cause is a lot of issues up in the trap, right? And then also, if you have a tendency of getting any kind of tennis or golfer's elbow, epicondylitis, that's gonna exacerbate the problem right there just because you're setting your shoulders in such a bad position, right? We do not want to become kyphotic at the end of our row. We want to be up tall here, right? So by moving our chin out of the way, you're creating room for proper movement in the scap. So you can move through chest up, sternum up, right? So very similar concepts on these two. And then thirdly, on the T-bar row, same shit, right? Just move this down. So we don't want to keep our chin down and do that. I feel, first of all, that's probably gonna hit my head, right? Secondly, if you see how I'm gonna go here, it's the same problem on every row, every pull down that's gonna happen when I keep my chin down. My shoulders are gonna wanna roll forward, right? We do not want that in any of our back movements, right? So the first thing you're gonna do is set the sternum, right? Set the chin, pull through it. All right, so my sternum will come up very slightly off the pad, and I'm not gonna use my lower back to come up that much, right? It's literally just gonna stop at my sternum, my chest right there. So this is as much movement as I need here, right? And look straight ahead and pull through. All right, so at no point are we actually trying to pull all the way back, right? We're not starting a lawnmower, guys. All right, we're not boing, right? It's just till here, right? Most of the time with most people's leverages, our elbow will be in line with our back. It's not going to go any further than that. If I try to pull it back, my sternum is just gonna come up, All right, so you're gonna have a limit to how far back you can actually pull with proper form. And most of the time, it's gonna end right there. All right, don't let that happen. All right, so if we try to keep our sternum or chest on the pad completely, we're gonna have a very limited range of motion up until we start going further back, and that shoulder has to roll forward in order for my elbow to come back further, right? So just be mindful of how much the sternum comes up, have good control of that, and make sure you're pushing your hips into the pad, however you choose to stand, whether it's feet right under your hips or feet behind your hips. See what works best for you, where you're able to actually keep pressure into the pad with your hips. Other than that, honestly, those are the most common mistakes I see with back training. So fix the head position, make sure your sternum's coming up and you're not rolling the shoulders forward, right? So those are the main things you can improve your back training with.